The Florida Keys stretch out endlessly. The golden dawn on each undulating wave, reflecting on the giant steel ships anchored offshore, waiting for the command to depart. It is the moment to start a new fishing season, the season of American spiny lobster. A seafood known as the red gold of the Atlantic Ocean. On the deck, the sound of the engine roars. The sound of the anchor rope is squealing and the sound of the waves blend together like a majestic symphony of the ocean. American fishermen are ready for a long trip, crossing deep waters. Where lobster traps will be dropped hundreds of meters below the seabed. Spiny lobsters are not like the northern Maine lobsters. They do not have large claws but possess a dark shell, sharp spines, and long antennae like wave-detecting antennas. This creature lives in coral reefs, coastal crevices of Florida, the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico. It is this complex habitat that makes lobster fishing an art that combines technique, experience, and bravery. The Americans not only use human power, but also apply modern technology, from satellite positioning, bottom-sounding sonar, to computerized trap management systems. Each trip can last for weeks. And each large ship carries thousands of traps, stacked as high as a heavy wooden wall, ready to be dropped into the deep blue water. As the ship moves farther from shore, the atmosphere on deck changes. The smell of diesel fuel mixes with the salty sea breeze. The crew, most of whom have spent their lives at sea, work in unison with the captain's shouts. They know that every minute, every nautical mile counts, because this profession is not for the weak. Every time the waves rise, the lobster traps can be swept away or hit the reefs, throwing a week's worth of effort into the sea. But it is this harshness that creates the pride of American fishermen, who have turned spiny lobster fishing into one of the most economically valuable seafood industries in the country, when reaching the predetermined coordinates. The ship slows down. Each group of sailors begins to pull the wooden traps out onto the deck, preparing to drop them. Each trap is tied with a floating rope marked with a red-white buoy, with a positioning chip attached. The bait is mackerel, herring or chopped mackerel pieces. The fishy smell of which stimulates the lobsters to come. The trap setter must be highly skilled, because if the depth or current is wrong, the trap will drift away or the lobster will not enter. They work in a hunched position, throwing the rope with their hands, watching the boy drift away. At the bottom of the sea, hundreds of traps are scattered, creating a giant field of lobsters whose location is known only to the fishermen. American commercial lobster fishing boats are not just a workplace, but a miniature world in the hold. A modern machinery system ensures temperature maintenance, bait storage, and even a live lobster storage area. When harvested, the lobsters are pulled up, sorted, and measured by a standard metal ruler. Any that are undersized or are carrying eggs are released back into the sea. It is this strict regulation that keeps the American lobster source abundant, not depleted like in many other places in the world. Fishermen respect the sea. Because they understand that if the sea dies, they will lose everything. When night falls, the yellow lights of the ship illuminate the ink-black water. The deep sound of the engine blends with the sound of waves crashing against the side. Creating a familiar sound that lulls the crew to sleep. They have a simple dinner, usually fresh fish, cold rice, and some fresh water. In the hold, laughter is mixed with the radio broadcasting news from the mainland. Some people tell stories about big storms that almost took the ship. Others talk about last year's record catch of lobsters when they caught more than 10 tons in just 3 days. Every story is associated with the smell of salt, sweat and pride of those who make a living by the sea. A few days later, when it was time to harvest, the atmosphere on the ship became lively. The hydraulic winch system started up. Each trap weighing tens of kilograms was pulled up from the seabed. The first spiny lobsters appeared, shiny red-brown bodies, bristling spines. And whiskers waving vigorously in the air. Shears rang out, then fell back into the urgent work rhythm. The whole team of fishermen worked continuously. Some pulled the traps, some removed the lobsters, some sorted and released the young ones. On the deck, seawater splashed. Sunlight shone on the lobsters, making them sparkle like living gems. The qualified lobsters were immediately put into the circulating saltwater storage tank, keeping them healthy throughout the journey. In the cold room, the temperature was precisely controlled. The amount of oxygen and salinity were monitored by computer. American fishermen know that each live lobster can sell for tens of dollars when it arrives at port. So preservation is a vital factor in the trip. In addition, the ship also has a preliminary processing area, where injured or dead lobsters will be processed, peeled, and frozen immediately for export to Asia and Europe. In deeper waters, they sometimes encounter unexpected creatures, reef sharks, giant rays, or even sea turtles. At that time, everyone immediately stops pulling traps to rescue the species accidentally caught in the net. Because US law absolutely prohibits harming protected species, the sense of responsibility towards nature has become part of the culture of fishermen here. They understand that it is the ecological balance that helps their profession last long, after many days of work. The deck gradually filled with crates of live lobsters. A joyful atmosphere spread throughout the ship. The captain checked the navigation system and ordered to turn back to port. The return journey was also challenging. Because strong winds and big waves could arise at any time, the heavy ships still steadfastly surfed the waves. Carrying goods worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. When the shore appeared in the mist, cheers rang out. It was the sound of victory, of simple happiness after days of struggling with the sea. Once at port, the unloading process is quick. The crates of lobsters are brought to the weighing area, then transferred to the purchasing center. Here, experts inspect the quality, classifying them by size, color and health. Grade A lobsters go straight into cold storage for export. While B and C lobsters serve the domestic market, a small portion will be transported by refrigerated trucks to luxury restaurants in New York, Boston and Los Angeles, where spiny lobster dishes are a symbol of luxury. From the seaport, the journey of American spiny lobsters continues around the world. Frozen shipments leave the port of Miami, cross the Atlantic to Europe, and on to Asia, especially Japan and China, where demand for lobster is sky high. Each shipment carries the efforts of hundreds of fishermen. Engineers and captains who have worked tirelessly at sea, but behind the huge profits are the arduous lives of seafarers. Many fishermen are away from their families for weeks, even months at a time. Waves, loneliness, and danger are always lurking. One year, a big storm swept away dozens of traps, leaving them with nothing. Yet, when the new fishing season comes, they still return, still boarding their boats with determination in their eyes. For them, the sea is a place of challenge, of faith, of life. After leaving the port and starting a new voyage, The giant spiny lobster ship continues its rhythmic life in the ocean. Veteran fishermen understand that every day at sea is a battle between man and nature. They rely not only on muscle power, but also on a deep understanding of currents. Water temperature and seabed structure, factors that determine whether lobsters will enter the trap or not. Any mistake, no matter how small, can cause hundreds of traps to drift away, thousands of dollars to disappear with the waves inside the control cabin. The captain sits in front of a bright radar screen. He monitors the position of each buoy, checks wind speed, wave direction, and GPS positioning data. The computer system linked to satellites helps the ship operate accurately to the nautical mile. Each fishing area is carefully noted. Along with the time to release and pull the trap. In recent years, technology has completely changed the face of the lobster industry. While in the past fishermen relied solely on experience, now they combine scientific data to optimize productivity. Temperature and salinity sensors are placed with the traps to help them understand the lobster's habitat, thereby adjusting the bait release position accordingly. On deck, the work goes on non-stop. In the morning, the trapping crew, the strongest and fastest people, gather on the side. They use hydraulic winches to pull each trap weighing tens of kilograms, then place it on a metalwork table. Another person opens the trap lid, removes the lobsters, and quickly sorts them. Each spiny lobster is held with two hands. Avoiding sharp spines piercing the skin. Their movements are both fast and precise, because if they are just a few seconds late, the spines will prick them and bleed. Many people have hands full of scars, wounds that never heal completely. The mark of the sea. The qualified lobsters are released immediately into the aerated seawater tank, while the small ones or those carrying eggs are released back. Every action is in compliance with the regulations of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. This system of laws ensures that no one can overfish. Any vessel found in violation is heavily fined, even permanently revoked. It is thanks to this discipline that the spiny lobster industry in the US has developed sustainably for decades, bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue each year. On the lower deck of the ship, the technical area is always in operation 24/7. Large capacity seawater pumps straw water directly from the ocean into tanks to keep the lobsters alive. The oxygen system automatically adjusts continuously. Ensuring the ideal dissolved concentration. Sometimes engineers have to go down to the site to check each valve and each pipe, because just a small error can cause thousands of lobsters to die in a few hours. Amidst the space filled with steam and the hum of machines, they work meticulously like seafood doctors. As the sun sets, the sea turns a pale purple. The crew takes a break. A few people sat on the deck, smoking cigarettes, watching the sun sink behind the horizon. Some people took out old guitars and played a few tunes, the rustic sound blending with the sound of the waves. It was a rare moment of peace in the harsh life. They talked about their families, about their children studying on the mainland, about their friends who had left the profession after the accident. The sea gave them a livelihood, but also took many things away. However, no one wanted to leave, because once they heard the sound of the waves, smelled the salt, and felt the invisible power of the ocean, they knew they belonged here forever. At night, the work continued. Under the high-power lights, the sailors removed the last traps. The whole ship glowed in the darkness like a floating city. The sea sprayed white. Lobsters struggled. Their antennae swished. Sweat mixed with salt water ran down their sunburned faces. The sound of the engine, the sound of the chains, and the calls to each other created a unique sound that only the seafaring profession could produce. Sometimes, in the middle of the night,
There's another little male. There's another male. There's another little jumbo. Look at that. Hey, they're residentials.
a strong wind would blow in, and the waves would be as high as a wall of water, sweeping across the deck. But no one would falter. They crouched down, holding onto the anchor ropes, and continued working. Each
Look at that.
Yeah, she's pretty cool today.
Well, she is. Wow, look at her.
each time they weathered the storm, they felt stronger. After collecting all the traps, the ship turned to the mobile processing area, the most modern part of the ship. Here, the shrimp were inspected again. Impurities removed, and packed into tanks of cold seawater maintained at 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. Some large ships are also equipped with instant freezing systems using liquid nitrogen, allowing the shrimp to be kept fresh for days without damaging the meat structure. Each box of shrimp was labeled with a QR code that clearly stated the time.
Little male. Another little male.
Coordinates of the catch, the name of the vessel, and the fishing license. This data was transmitted directly to the company headquarters for traceability, a mandatory process in the modern US seafood trade. As the first batch of shrimp was packed, sense of excitement filled the ship. The captain took the microphone, his voice booming over the intercom. The whole team did a great job. Keep up the pace, and we'll have a great trip. There was a burst of applause, mixed with laughter. They knew that every lobster that survived, every kilo of frozen goods was the work of the whole team. In this profession, no one can survive alone in the open sea. Another morning, the sea was unusually quiet. The water was as smooth as a mirror. The sky was a deep blue.
Woohoo! Look at that one.
A few nice females in there we can throw back.
Yeah.
Let's get these bait box open.
Awesome. Oh, look at that. Lot of pinks in there.
Fishermen took the opportunity to maintain their equipment. One group cleaned the traps. Another group oiled the winch. Someone checked the buoy rope. Another rearranged the hold. Regular maintenance was a must, because at sea,
Few reds and mainly pinks, isn't it?
any failure was dangerous. A loose screw, a worn winch rope could send tons of traps tumbling into the sea. Mechanics moved around the ship, wrenches in hand, ears listening to the sound of the machine to detect the slightest problem.
Okay. Oh, look at all those.
Everything had to work perfectly, because the safety of the entire ship depended on it. When the afternoon came, they continued to set the traps. The red and white buoys were connected to each other on the sea surface like a giant string of pearls. At the bottom, the traps fell gently, creating a deep,
Look at that. Beautiful female. Let's throw back.
She's gone.
Keep on.
Gone into the big blue sea.
deep sound that spread far and wide. The fishermen knew that in just a few days, the big, strong lobsters would come, attracted by the smell of mackerel bait. It was a waiting time, a quiet time between two labors.
We only got one out of 2 pots, so that's okay. Get a photo.
Some people took advantage of the opportunity to catch up on sleep. Others fished or cooked. The food on board was simple: rice, fried fish, seafood soup. But for them, it was a feast in the middle of the ocean. There were also nights that were not peaceful.
Well, we just pulled our cray pot, and look what we got.
That was beautiful crayfish.
Yeah. Awesome.
When the weather was bad, the wind was strong, the waves were high, the ship shook violently. The sailors had to tie everything down, close the hatches. The sound of the waves crashing was like thunder. In the darkness, many people could not sleep.
Whale, that one.
Oh yeah, look at him.
Big whale.
Oh, nice.
Just holding onto the bed rails and praying that the storm would pass quickly. Sometimes the big waves broke some traps, or swept away the buoys. But luckily, thanks to the captain's skills, the ship remained steady. After each storm,
That little male.
Yeah. Okay. There you go, I'll get your thing. I'll get your measuring stick.
they smiled and continued. For American fishermen, the rough sea is not an enemy, but a teacher who teaches them to be resilient. The next morning, the sun rose. The sea was calm as if it had never been angry.